Sometimes forgiveness isn't about being noble, it's about being naive. I learned the hard way that some people mistake your kindness for weakness, and they'll keep hurting you until you finally fight back. The question is, how much are you willing to lose before you say enough is enough? Before we begin, hit the subscribe button and tell me where you're watching this story from. Your support means everything. My name is Serena Whitlow, and this is my diary. I'm writing this because I need to remember. I need to document what happened before I lose my nerve. Before I start second-guessing what I'm about to do to my sister Delilah. It's been 3 years since she stole my husband Matthew. 3 years since I found them together in my own bed, in my own house, while I was at my mother's funeral. Yes, you heard that right. While I was burying our mother, my sister was sleeping with my husband. I forgave them both. I know how stupid that sounds now, but I did. I thought family was more important than revenge. I thought being the bigger person would make everything okay. God, I was such a fool. The divorce was messy, but I didn't fight dirty. I could have exposed them both, could have made their lives hell. Matthew was a respected high school principal, and Delilah worked at the bank downtown. A scandal would have ruined them both. Instead, I took my settlement and moved across town with my daughter Isla. She was 13 then, barely understanding why her daddy wasn't coming home anymore. She cried herself to sleep for months asking what she did wrong. Nothing, baby, I'd tell her, stroking her hair. Sometimes adults make bad choices that hurt the people they love. I never told her the truth about her Aunt Delilah. I protected my sister even after she destroyed my marriage. For 3 years, I worked double shifts at the nursing home to keep us afloat. Isla threw herself into school, making honor rolls every semester. She was my pride and joy, the one good thing that came out of my marriage to Matthew. Delilah and Matthew got married 6 months after our divorce was final. They sent me an invitation. Can you believe that? They actually thought I'd want to celebrate their happiness. I threw it in the trash and tried to forget they existed. But small towns don't let you forget. I'd see them at the grocery store, at Isla's school events, at church. Delilah would wave at me like nothing happened, like she hadn't stabbed me in the back and twisted the knife. Last month, Isla started acting strange. She'd always been a happy kid, but suddenly she was quiet, withdrawn. Her grades started slipping. She stopped eating dinner with me, claiming she wasn't hungry. Honey, what's wrong? I asked her one evening. You can tell me anything. It's nothing, Mom. Just teenage stuff. But I knew it wasn't nothing. A mother knows. Then I found the prescription bottle hidden in her backpack. Anti-anxiety medication. Strong stuff. The kind of pills that could knock out a horse. The prescription was written by Dr. Cordelia Ashworth, our family doctor. But when I called her office, they said Isla had never been seen there. I confronted Isla about the pills that night. Where did you get these? I demanded, holding up the bottle. She burst into tears. Mom, please don't be mad. I needed them. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I couldn't think straight. Why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you tell me you were struggling? Because you have enough problems already, she sobbed. I didn't want to be another burden. My heart broke. My baby girl had been suffering in silence, thinking she was protecting me. Who gave you these pills, Isla? She looked away. I can't tell you. That's when I knew someone else was involved. Someone who had convinced my daughter to hide things from me. I started following Isla after school. I know that sounds terrible, but I was desperate to understand what was happening to my daughter. For 2 days, she went straight home like always. But on the 3rd day, she took a different route. She walked to the nice part of town, the part where Matthew and Delilah lived in their perfect little house with their perfect little garden. My stomach dropped as I watched my daughter knock on their front door. Delilah answered, and instead of surprise, Her face showed expectation. Like she'd been waiting for Isla to arrive. I parked across the street and waited. An hour later, Isla came out looking dazed and confused. She walked past my car without even seeing me, staring at the ground like she was in a trance. I followed her home and waited until she went to her room. Then I checked her backpack again. There was a new bottle of pills. Different medication this time. Stronger. That night, I called my friend Wanda who works at the pharmacy downtown. Wanda, I need a favor. Can you look up what medications my daughter has been prescribed? Sure, honey. What's her name again? Serena Whitlow. There was a long pause. Serena, are you sure about this? Because according to our records, Serena has been picking up prescriptions every week for the past 2 months. Heavy-duty stuff. Anti-anxiety, sleep aids, even some antidepressants. Who's writing the prescriptions? Another pause. That's the weird part. They're all from different doctors in different towns. Like someone's doctor shopping. I knew I had to catch them in the act. Whatever Delilah was doing to my daughter, it was getting worse. The next day, I called in sick to work and positioned myself across the street from Delilah's house again. Sure enough, at 3:30 p.m., Isla walked up to the front door. This time, I didn't just watch. I waited 10 minutes, then walked up to the house, and used the spare key I knew Delilah kept under the fake rock by the porch. Yes, I still knew all her hiding spots from when we were kids. What I heard when I opened that door will haunt me for the rest of my life. Take these, sweetheart, I heard Delilah's voice from the living room. They'll make you feel better. I don't want to anymore, Isla's voice was small, scared. They make me feel weird. Like I'm not myself. Oh honey, you're just stressed about school. Your mom puts too much pressure on you. These pills will help you relax. I crept closer to the doorway and peered around the corner. Delilah was sitting next to my daughter on the couch, holding out a handful of pills. Isla looked pale and thin, like she hadn't been eating or sleeping properly. Aunt Delilah, I want to go home. Not yet, sweetie. Uncle Matthew wants to talk to you when he gets back. That's when it clicked. Matthew wasn't at school. He was supposed to be at work, but he wasn't there. And Delilah was drugging my daughter, keeping her compliant and confused. I hid in the hallway and listened as Delilah made a phone call. She's here, Delilah said quietly. No, she took the pills. She's getting drowsy. Yes, I know what we discussed. Tonight, after her mother goes to sleep. The photos will be enough to destroy Serena's custody case. My blood ran cold as I realized what they were planning. They were going to drug my daughter, take compromising photos, and use them to claim I was an unfit mother. They wanted to take Isla away from me. But why? Why would they want custody of my daughter? Then I heard Delilah's next words, once we get Isla, Serena will have nothing left. She'll probably leave town, and we can finally put this whole mess behind us. They didn't want my daughter. They wanted to destroy me completely. I've never felt anger like this in my entire life. It was like fire burning through my veins, making my hands shake and my vision blur. They had stolen my husband. They had broken up my family. And now they were drugging my child and planning to frame me as an unfit mother. All because Delilah couldn't stand that I'd moved on with my life. I wanted to burst into that room and strangle my sister with my bare hands. But I knew that wouldn't help Isla. I needed to be smart about this. I crept back out of the house and called the one person I knew could help me, my cousin Zebulon, who happened to be a detective with the county sheriff's department. Serena, what you're telling me is serious, Zebulon said when I met him at the diner downtown. If they're drugging a minor and planning to take inappropriate photos, that's child abuse, drug trafficking, and conspiracy. Can you help me prove it? I can try. But we need evidence. Real evidence, not just your word against theirs. Zebulon gave me a tiny recording device and a small camera, both designed to look like everyday objects. Get them talking about their plan. Get proof of them giving Isla the drugs. Once we have that, we can arrest them both. What about Isla? How do I keep her safe while we're gathering evidence? How often does she go over there? Every day after school now. Okay. Tomorrow, you're going to have a family emergency that requires Isla to come straight home. That'll buy us a day to set everything up. I called the school and told them Isla needed to come home immediately due to a family emergency. When she got home, I set her down and made her tell me everything. Through her tears, the whole story came out. Aunt Delilah said you were having money problems and might have to give me up for adoption, Isla sobbed. She said she and Uncle Matthew wanted to take care of me, but they needed to prove you weren't a good mother first. Baby, I would never give you up. Never. You're my whole world. She said the pills would help me feel less anxious about everything. But they make me feel sick and confused. And Uncle Matthew? He keeps asking me weird questions and taking pictures of me when I'm tired from the medication. My heart shattered into a million pieces. They had been manipulating my innocent daughter, making her believe lies about me, drugging her, and God knows what else. The next day, I let Isla go to Delilah's house as usual, but this time I was ready. I had Zebulon's recording equipment hidden on Isla, and I positioned myself outside with the camera to document everything. At 4 p.m., I watched through the window as Delilah handed my daughter a cup of something and several pills. Drink this, honey. It'll make you feel better. Isla looked hesitant. Aunt Delilah, I don't think I should take any more pills. My mom might find out. Your mom doesn't need to know everything, sweetheart. This is just between us girls. I got it all on video. An hour later, Matthew came home early from school. I watched him go into the living room where my daughter was sitting, looking dazed from whatever Delilah had given her. How is she? He asked Delilah. Perfect. Drowsy enough to be cooperative, but not so out of it that the photos will look obviously staged. And you're sure this will work? Matthew, once we have pictures of Isla in a compromised state, we can claim Serena has been neglecting her, maybe even abusing her. Child Services will have to investigate. During the investigation, Isla will stay with us. Once we have custody, Serena will be so broken she'll disappear. What if she fights back? What can she do? She's a single mother working minimum wage. We're respected members of the community. Who do you think people will believe? Every word was being recorded. I couldn't let them take those photos. I burst through the front door just as Matthew was setting up a camera. Get away from my daughter. Delilah spun around, her face white with shock. Serena. What are you doing here? Saving my daughter from her psychotic aunt and uncle. I helped Isla stand up. She was barely conscious from whatever they'd given her. You're not taking her anywhere, Matthew said, blocking the door. Isla belongs with us now. Over my dead body. That's when Zebulon and two other officers burst through the door. Delilah Whitlow and Matthew Whitlow, you're under arrest for child abuse, drug trafficking, conspiracy, and attempted kidnapping. The look on my sister's face was pure rage mixed with disbelief. You can't do this to us, she screamed as they put the handcuffs on her. We're pillars of the community. Nobody will believe we did anything wrong. Actually, Zebulon said, holding up the recording device, we have everything on tape. Your confession, the drugs you gave the child, your entire plan to frame her mother. Matthew just looked defeated. Delilah, you said this would work. You said we'd never get caught. Shut up, Matthew. Don't say anything else. But it was too late. They had both confessed to everything. I rushed Isla to the emergency room to make sure the drugs Delilah had given her weren't dangerous. Dr. Ashworth, the real Dr. Ashworth, ran blood tests and confirmed that Isla had been given a cocktail of prescription medications that could have seriously harmed her. Mrs. Whitlow, your daughter has been systematically drugged for weeks, maybe months. The combination of medications in her system could have caused permanent damage to her developing brain. But she'll be okay. She should recover fully, but it's going to take time to get all these drugs out of her system. She'll need counseling too. This kind of psychological manipulation can have lasting effects. As I sat beside Isla's hospital bed, watching her sleep peacefully for the first time in months, I felt a mix of relief and rage. Relief that she was safe. Rage that my own sister had done this to her. Word spread fast in our small town. By the next morning, everyone knew that the respected principal and his wife had been arrested for drugging and planning to abuse a teenage girl. Matthew was immediately fired from his job at the high school. Delilah was terminated from the bank. Their reputations were destroyed overnight. But that wasn't enough for me. Not after what they'd put my daughter through. I hired the best lawyer in the county, Octavius Kane, to file a civil lawsuit against both Matthew and Delilah. Mrs. Whitlow, based on the evidence, you have a strong case for damages, he told me. Medical expenses for your daughter's treatment, psychological trauma, lost wages from missing work, pain and suffering. How much are we talking about? Potentially millions. What they did to your daughter was calculated and cruel. A jury will not be sympathetic to them. Good. I want them to lose everything. They will. By the time we're done with them, they'll have nothing left. The story made state news. Small-town principal and wife arrested for drugging teenage niece was the headline that ran on every major outlet. Reporters called me constantly, wanting to interview the brave mother who saved her daughter from family predators. I gave one interview to the biggest news station in the state. My sister stole my husband 3 years ago, I said, looking directly into the camera. I forgave her. I thought family was more important than revenge. But when she decided to destroy my innocent daughter just to hurt me more, she crossed a line that can never be uncrossed. What do you want people to know about your sister and ex-husband? I want people to know that monsters don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they look like the people you trust most. Sometimes they're family. Facing overwhelming evidence and the possibility of 20 years in prison, both Matthew and Delilah agreed to plea deals. Delilah got 8 years in state prison for child abuse and drug trafficking. Matthew got 6 years for conspiracy and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Your Honor, Delilah said during her sentencing, I want to apologize to my sister and my niece. I made terrible choices and I accept full responsibility. Too little, too late. Mrs. Whitlow, the judge said to me, would you like to make a victim impact statement? I stood up and looked my sister in the eye. Delilah, you had every opportunity to be a good sister and a loving aunt. Instead, you chose jealousy and cruelty. You drugged my child. You tried to destroy her innocence just to hurt me. There is no forgiveness for what you've done. I hope every day you spend in prison, you remember that you did this to yourself. The civil lawsuit was settled out of court for $2.8 million. Matthew and Delilah had to sell their house, their cars, and empty their retirement accounts to pay the judgment. They lost everything. But more than the money, I wanted them to understand the consequences of their actions. I used part of the settlement money to start a foundation that helps children who have been abused by family members. The Isla Foundation provides counseling, legal support, and safe housing for kids who have nowhere else to turn. Every year, we hold a fundraising gala. The local paper always covers it, always mentions how the foundation was started after my sister drugged my daughter in a sick revenge scheme. Delilah's name will be forever linked to child abuse in our community. It took months of therapy, but Isla slowly recovered from the trauma of what her aunt and stepfather had done to her. Mom, she said to me one day, I'm sorry I believed Aunt Delilah when she said bad things about you. Baby, you were being manipulated by adults who were supposed to protect you. None of this was your fault. Do you think she really hated us that much? I think she hated herself, and she took it out on us. But that's her problem now, not ours. Isla is thriving now. She's back on the honor roll, she's made new friends, and she's planning to study psychology in college so she can help other kids who have been through trauma. She's stronger than I ever was at her age. Last month, I got a letter from Delilah in prison. She wanted to apologize again, wanted to ask for my forgiveness, wanted me to bring Isla to visit her. I threw the letter in the trash without finishing it. Some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. Instead, I wrote her a letter of my own. Delilah, you seem to think that saying sorry will somehow fix what you've done. It won't. You didn't just betray me, you tortured my child. You drugged her, manipulated her, and tried to destroy her relationship with me. That's not something I will ever forgive or forget. I hope your time in prison gives you a chance to think about the person you became. I hope you realize that your jealousy and hatred cost you everything that mattered. You wanted to destroy my life, but all you did was show me how strong I really am. Isla and I are happy now. We're successful, we're loved by our community, and we're helping other families avoid the nightmare you put us through. You have 6 more years to think about that. Don't contact us again. People ask me if I regret forgiving Delilah the first time, when she stole Matthew. The answer is no. Forgiveness isn't always about the other person, sometimes it's about freeing yourself from the poison of hate and anger. But forgiveness doesn't mean being stupid. It doesn't mean letting someone hurt you over and over again. When Delilah came after my daughter, she showed me that she wasn't sorry for what she'd done. She was only sorry she'd gotten caught. That's when I learned the difference between forgiveness and justice. I forgave her for stealing my husband because holding on to. In a prison cell, eating cafeteria food and sharing a bathroom with criminals. Matthew lost his career, his reputation, and his freedom because he chose to follow his wife's twisted plans instead of being the man he should have been. Sometimes the best revenge isn't something you plan, it's simply letting someone's own choices catch up with them. I didn't destroy my sister's life. She did that all by herself. I just made sure the world knew about it. The truth is, I'm grateful for what happened. Not because I wanted Isla to be hurt, but because it showed me who I really am. I'm not the weak, forgiving woman who let people walk all over her. I'm a mother who will move heaven and earth to protect her child. And that's a lesson Delilah learned too late. If you're watching this and someone in your family has betrayed you, remember, forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. But protection is a gift you give to the people you love. Choose wisely. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this story taught you something. And remember, family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about who shows up when you need them most.